It's time for Saint Lucia Magazine, your monthly wrap-up.
Hello, welcome to Saint Lucia Magazine, where we review developments in government across various sectors of sports, healthcare, education, agriculture, tourism, culture, and the economy. I am Nivalo Geist. In this recap of February, we look at what the government has done to bring about positive change and progress for the citizens. Our team and the communication units of the various ministries in the public service have been gathering stories and highlights of the government's initiatives and projects, and we are excited to share them with you. This is Saint Lucia Magazine. At the top of this review segment, the big story. We begin the Big Story segment with a review of St. Lucia's 45th anniversary of independence. The observance was marked with a number of nation-building activities, including the Independence Baton Relay, National Awards of Excellence, Praise and Worship Ecumenical Service, Independence Lecture delivered by a young St. Lucian innovator, Mr. Javed Samuel, a special seating of Parliament addressed by the President of the Cooperative Republic of Guyana, Mr. Mohamed Irfan Ali. The Guyanese President was the special guest of Prime Minister Honorable Philip J. Pierre. Other activities included the St. Lucia Business Expo, which celebrated entrepreneurial spirit and cultural richness, and major highlights the military parade and independence celebratory rally held in Soufrière. We have the reports and highlights of all of these in this Independence 45 segment of St. Lucia Magazine.
Liam, we celebrate you this afternoon. Liam now carries the National Independence Baton. I am a Saint Lucian, that's who I am. Find that place of sweet, melodies in the heat. Everybody's on the road, we jumping for and gold. To any soca play, our culture on a display. Everybody sing.
In acknowledging and honoring the awardees gathered here today, we are not merely applauding their individual accomplishments, but also embracing the embodiment of excellence that elevates our collective aspirations as a people. We have no doubt that many of you will continue to excel in your academic and professional endeavors and eventually contribute meaningfully to the continued development of St. Lucia.
Living together in unity requires service-oriented leadership. Unselfishness underlies all true development and must be the invisible center that connects all civic duties, making them meaningful. Living together in unity requires the inculcation of selflessness at a level that allows it to inform all objectives and directives, making them relevant and beneficial. However, to be living together in unity with the conscious awareness of doing so as God's children demands a self-actuated morality that makes the spontaneous revelation of the image of God from us in our relationships natural and normal.
So without any further ado, let us welcome our independence lecturer, Mr. Javed Samuel.
Where do we want to see our nation in the next 5 years when we celebrate our Golden Jubilee? What nation do we want our children and grandchildren to inherit in the next 30 years? I am reminded of the journey that we as a nation and I personally have embarked on. I was born on this beautiful island a couple years after our independence, a land of unparalleled beauty, innovative people, and vibrant culture. My roots in Saint Lucia are not just a matter of my birth, but the foundation of my identity, regardless of where I am. In 1998, as a student at Viewford Comprehensive Secondary School, I had the honor of placing first in the CSEC examinations in St. Lucia and overall academic performance awardee from CXC. Subsequently, I completed advanced levels, A-levels in 1 year, as opposed to the usual 2 years, and was awarded one of the National Island Scholarships. I do not say this to brag, but to have it serve as a testament to the strength and potential of our education system and the unyielding support of family and community. It proves that our achievements can shine well beyond the borders of our country. We recently celebrated Nobel Laureate Week, honoring Sir Arthur Lewis and Sir Derek Walcott, who have ensured that St. Lucia has the most Nobel Prize winners, the most Nobel Prize awardees per capita in the world. Julian Alfred's continued impressive performances in the athletic world also demonstrates our ability to not just compete, but excel on the world stage. We should all continue to strive for excellence.
If you look at another opportunity that exists in agriculture, that is your fish imports. You import close to 1,500 tons of fish, and poultry, $12 million of import in poultry annually. These are things, if we build consortiums between St. Lucia, the St. Lucia private sector and the Guyanese private sector, that we can resolve within the region. This import can occur within the region. This business can be developed within the region. These opportunities can be catalyzed within the region. The wealth can be created within the region, and both St. Lucia and Guyana will benefit, and the region will benefit as a whole.
Despite the path of entrepreneurship being fraught with uncertainty, obstacles, and challenges, you have remained focused and steadfast on your journey towards success. And while I applaud your resilience, I also take heed that this determination must be propelled by targeted support programs, improve access to finance, training, and skills retooling with a view to expansion and eventual export. In this regard, the Government of Saint Lucia remains committed to creating an enabling environment to ensure that you, our homegrown businesses, can continue to strive.
We have 9 armed units on parade this morning and 5 unarmed units this morning on parade as well.
Solutions have the power to be transformative in our areas of our choice. Let us not be satisfied with mediocrity. Let us try to be innovative. Let our imagination soar to new heights, and let us climb these heights. There are very many areas and very many fields that we can pursue and make a positive difference to our communities and to our country.
Meanwhile, in another of the Independence Anniversary observance activities, was the 42nd Annual National Sports Awards hosted by the Ministry of Youth Development and Sports to honor outstanding athletes. The ceremony also recognized the national teams, officials, and administrators. Ryan O'Brien reports.
Minister responsible for Youth Development and Sports, the Honorable Kenson Kazimi, says his ministry is continuing its focus on a national sports policy, which will be a main priority in the coming weeks. The minister made the remarks while speaking at the 42nd Annual National Sports Awards ceremony Saturday at the Pavilion, Rodney Bay.
In the coming weeks, my ministry will begin the process of formulating a national sports policy to harness the work that the various agencies, associations, and groups are doing in the schools and in our communities. One of the key areas that the policy will address, and an urgent concern of mine, is what happens to the professional athletes when they retire from the competitive sports. For most sports, athletes retire in their mid-30s. Therefore, the policy will explore exit strategies for our athletes when they become inactive and how best we could utilize their skills in giving back to the community.
You're watching St. Lucia Magazine on the National Television Network. Stay with us.
The general public is advised to take advantage of the tax amnesty period. Settle your outstanding debt in full by May 1st, 2024 and get a 100% waiver of all penalties, fines, and interest. Grab this chance and receive a full waiver of all penalties, fines, and interest.
In this recap, NAMLOC celebrates St. Lucia's success in its re-rating application. The Building Resilience for Adaptation to Climate Change and Climate Vulnerabilities in Agriculture project, BRAGVAS, is bridging agricultural challenges. A youth work initiative to promote inclusion and empowerment took place here recently. Hello again, you're watching St. Lucia Magazine. Parliament has passed the Tourism Development Act 2024. The act has the objective of promoting local ownership and participation in the tourism sector by offering fiscal incentives to small accommodation properties, paving the way for a more inclusive and resilient tourism industry. Virgil Leonti reports.
The Tourism Development Act 2024 was passed in Parliament on February 20th. The bill seeks to restructure the tourism industry to attract more local participation and ownership in the sector. It offers a wide range of fiscal and other incentives. In presenting the bill, Tourism Minister Honorable Dr. Ernest Hilaire made the case for greater local participation, arguing that since the attraction of the country are its people and natural beauty, then the people should reap the benefits of the industry. Dr. Hilaire stated that the bill lays the foundation for a more equitable tourism industry.
Our greatest natural resources are our extraordinary physical beauty and our people. The pitons, the mountains, beaches, forests, our smiles, our warmth, and all of that belong to us, our collective and common heritage. It brings the wealth of the tourism industry, and we must strive to own it and benefit from it more than any other, Mr. Speaker. We envisage that this legislation will foster an all-inclusive approach to the development of tourism in St. Lucia. By inclusive, Mr. Speaker, I mean that my George from Strozel, who has space in her backyard and who wants to organize it to host visitors, can share her local cooking delights, can access fiscal and non-fiscal incentives to build an authentic experience which is in keeping with national standards. And that this bill, tourism is for everyone, Mr. Speaker.
One of the components of the bill is a redefinition of the word hotel. The term would now mean a property having less than 6 rooms. This means that small properties will now be able to access the range of incentives offered to larger properties.
So to capitalize on this development and increase investment in the subsector, under this new tourism development bill, accommodation properties with 1 or more rooms will be able to access fiscal incentives in the same manner as a large hotel. It is also important to note that under the current legal framework, only the accommodation subsector benefits from waivers of value-added tax, corporate tax, property tax, alien and holding license fees, stamp duty, and vendors tax for an approved development, as it exists. Only accommodation subsector benefits from that. Under this new bill, these waivers will be available to all subsectors for the approved projects, Mr. Speaker.
Dr. Hiles says the transformation of the industry through the tourism bill will also generate more employment and increase the range of tourism services, thus making the industry more resilient. From the Government Information Service, this is Virgil Leonti reporting.
The National Anti-Money Laundering Oversight Committee, NAMLOC, and stakeholders have come in for praise in St. Lucia's successful application to re-rate 20 out of 22 recommendations for the Financial Action Task Force, FATF. Glenn Simon tells us more.
Members of the National Anti-Money Laundering Oversight Committee, NAMLOC, and stakeholders came in for high praise following St. Lucia's successful application for re-rating of the Financial Action Task Force, FATF, recommendations. During the country's fourth round mutual evaluation process, St. Lucia was rated partially compliant and non-compliant for some of these recommendations. Juliana Alfred is the Permanent Secretary in the Attorney General's Chambers and the Chair of NAMLOC.
I'm very happy to report that in December of 2023, St. Lucia applied for re-rating for 22 recommendations. I think we would have hinted at that sometime before we went. And fortunately for us, which is an extraordinary feat in itself, St. Lucia was re-rated for 20 out of these 22 recommendations.
15 recommendations were rated compliant, 5 were rated largely compliant, and 2 remained partially compliant. The 2 partially compliant recommendations are Recommendation 15, which deals with new technologies, and Recommendation 38, which deals with mutual legal assistance.
But overall, I think NAMLOC is very happy with the progress we've made. It was quite a bit of pressure. I think people would have remembered the legislation that we would have had to amend and to pass, whether it be the Anti-Terrorism or Companies Act or money laundering legislation. And we also introduced virtual assets. So it was quite a lot. And of course, we did the National Risk Assessment, which gave us a nice overview of St. Lucia's risk profile.
NAMLOC remains vigilant in monitoring the efforts of agencies to address the outstanding deficiencies as the country prepares for the 5th round mutual evaluation report.
St. Lucia will be assessed for effectiveness moving forward. Yes, we have passed all of this legislation, but CFATF will now be looking at how effective we are in terms of the implementation of the legislation. Did we just pass the legislation, or are we actually utilizing the legislation?
Strengthening the agricultural sector against the impacts of climate change is a critical component of the Building Resilience for Adaptation to Climate Change and Climate Vulnerability in Agriculture, BRACVAS project. A stakeholders workshop convened here to assess the pathways to meeting the project goals of highlighting vulnerability, adopting climate-smart practices, and guiding strategic interventions. Anicia Antoine has more.
ICA for about 4 years now has been managing what we call the CCRAF. It's a well-established agricultural forum, a regional forum, where we bring stakeholders and practitioners to talk about climate change and adaptation issues related to the agricultural sector. It's heavily focused on practical interventions that farmers, extension officers and technicians can apply in the field as a means of sharing information, building the knowledge and the repository of understanding with regards to things that actually work with regards to climate change adaptation for small farmers. So for me, sitting in and participating in and meeting with the technicians and from the Ministry of Agriculture that work on the BRACVAS is also helps in terms of contributing to that forum and enhancing the kind of work that ICA does to collaborate and build, complement rather, and build upon other local initiatives.
According to the Agriculture Ministry's priorities when it comes to climate change adaptation and climate change variability, the aim is to build resilience in farming communities and the capacity of stakeholders. Focal point for the Breakfast Project, April Ditterville, says it is expected that as a result of the planned capacity building within the Department of Agriculture Extension and Advisory Services Unit, the Agriculture and Extension officers will also be encouraged to integrate the learned practices in their respective regions through farmer field school training sessions in production and utilization of material for building resilience to climate change in the farm soils.
The Ministry of Youth Development and Sports has partnered with USAID to launch the Youth Work program aimed at enhancing youth workers' skills. The collaboration emphasizes investments in young leaders through competency-based certification through the Technical and Vocational Education Training TVET Council. The initiative addresses diverse challenges faced by St. Lucian youth, promoting resilience and community engagement. Ryan O'Brien tells us more.
A partnership to empower young leaders has been formalized as the Ministry of Youth Development and Sports has partnered with the United States International Development's USAID Youth Resilience, Inclusion and Empowerment WIRE program to launch the Youth Work program for effective youth work practice, which is aimed at enhancing the skills of youth workers.
This collaboration symbolizes the synergy between two entities committed to shaping the future of our communities through the lens of youth development. Our endorsement to professionalize youth work is more than just an idea or concept. It embodies a commitment to investing in the potential and aspirations of our young people. By having our youth certified through competency-based curriculum driven by WIRE and the TVET Council, we are fostering an environment where innovation, inclusivity, and mentorship pave a solid foundation for the leaders of tomorrow.
Chief of Party, USAID WIRE, Phelps Feely, stressed on the significance of this partnership.
The Youth Work Program for Effective Youth Work Practice is a strategic endeavor to strengthen the ministry's role in confronting the wide-ranging challenges St. Lucian youth face through a comprehensive, practical, and community-focused upskilling effort. It includes the rollout of a competency-based curriculum for Level 2 Caribbean Vocational Qualification Standards for youth development work in partnership with the TVET Council, support for professional development, strategic planning, and effective community engagement with the ministry's youth division, and will ultimately, as Mr. Lamont said, will boost youth resilience against social challenges in communities throughout the island where the ministry's phenomenal youth workers and youth officers lead interventions, programs, activities, and organizing efforts on a day-to-day basis.
When we come back, St. Lucia observes World Cancer Day, an initiative to promote climate change and health awareness in primary schools gets on the way.
I'm innovative.
Sure! I'm competitive! I'm productive.
I am creative.
I constantly improve what I do and how I do it.
I am output-oriented. I never stop learning.
I give off my best, always.
The National Competitiveness and Productivity Council, embracing excellence.
Welcome back. February 14th marked the observance of World Cancer Day. Cancer poses a significant global threat, with cancer being the leading cause of death in the Americas since 2020. The World Cancer Day observance drew attention to the impact of the ravages of the disease and the impact on individuals, families, and financing treatment and care. Under the theme St. Lucia Moves to Conquer Cancer, the ministry emphasized actionable steps of collaboration with organizations like the St. Lucia Cancer Society, Faces of Cancer, and the corporate sector to enhance cancer awareness and prevention efforts. Sant Justin reports.
The cancer epidemic remains a major concern for many countries worldwide. According to the Pan American Health Organization, cancer has remained the lead cause of death in the Americas since 2020. Annually, on February 4th, the world shifts its focus to a common message, cancer awareness. According to family life educator Naomi Grandison, the Ministry of Health, Wellness and Elderly Affairs, like its counterparts, will actively participate in the observation.
We have adopted the theme, Saint Lucia moves to conquer cancer. The reason we've chosen that theme is because we recognize that cancer is so significant and it impacts all of us. We are concerned that we talk about cancer all the time, but what are we doing? We need to move. We need to take steps, actionable steps towards reducing our risk for cancer and supporting persons who have cancer, the institutions who help persons with cancer.
Grandison further explained that the ministry would this year be taking a different approach towards the observance. Persons are being encouraged to participate to the Pledge 5 Challenge for World Cancer Day 2024.
We want you to take at least 5 steps to make a change and to stand in solidarity with persons who have cancer or who has lost a person with cancer. Take responsibility by, practicing 5 healthy habits, no tobacco smoking, better eating, more physical activity, doing your cancer screenings and so on. And another thing you can do is uplift 5 people. Another thing you can do is donate $5 to a cancer support agency. Another thing you can do, walk for 5 kilometers, and then you post that walk online and you tag 5 friends to do that challenge. So you can take these 5 steps or do 5 things, pledge to do it, so that we can work together to reduce our risk for cancer.
Senior Medical Officer for Non-Communicable Diseases, Dr. Shanna Sir-Filbert, has on many occasions described the grim reality caused by the cancer epidemic in St. Lucia. However, on a positive note, Dr. Sir-Filbert is praising the recent increase in interest by both the corporate sector and the public in participating in key physical exercise-based activities as the island works towards a healthier nation.
We've seen the numbers at the walks. We've actually had annual walks so far because we launched in September 2022, and we've seen the numbers, the visibility of the activities and so on. So we're very happy with that. We're hoping that St. Lucia Moves is able to raise awareness of the value of physical activity, but not just physical activity, of just general wellness, eating well, having proper rest, etc., because all of those things come together to keep us healthy, to keep us fighting the non-communicable diseases.
The Ministry of Health is also appealing to the corporate sector to encourage and create opportunities for staff to participate in the cancer screening process. Some of the activities for this year's observance are being hosted through a collaboration with organizations such as the St. Lucia Cancer Society. For the Communication Unit of the Ministry of Health, Wellness and Elderly Affairs, I'm Santa Justin.
The Pan American Health Organization, PAO, and the University of the West Indies are collaborating with a newly formed organization in St. Lucia on a national primary schools climate change and health awareness campaign. The campaign will target students of grade 5 in education and advocacy for a healthier climate. Sant Justin has more.
The Pan American Health Organization and the University of the West Indies Climate Change and Health Leaders Fellowship Training Program have teamed up in an effort to educate individuals on the effects of climate change on health. The collaboration is being unveiled in St. Lucia through an affiliate group called CHARGE, Climate and Health Action for Rising Generations. CHARGE President Kezia St. Bryce Isidore says the group was recently formed by local environmental enthusiasts.
So basically the group is newly formed and it's a bunch of environmentalist activists that are interested in, keeping our environment clean and also concerned about the environment, because as we know, the environment is where we live, and if we do not protect it, then we all will suffer.
On Wednesday, 17th January, CHARGE took to the community to begin their National Primary School Climate Change and Health Awareness campaign. St. Bryce says the inaugural event is geared at educating the younger generation about climate change and its dangers.
So the initiative is a 2-day initiative, which is 1 day in the north, which is at the Marigold Secondary School, and 1 day in the south at the Mikun Multipurpose Center. That way we can get all students involved from all aspects of the island, so both from the north and from the south.
The target audience for the event was grade 5 students who are considered to have the right attitude to help initiate change.
This is St. Lucia Magazine. When we come back, Taiwan supports the upgrading of kitchen facilities of a primary school. 19 primary schools benefit from the OECS Program for Educational Advancement and Relevant Learning, PUL, and Renewable Energy Sector Development Project, RESDP, completes second round of community consultations.
If you are in receipt of an abnormally high bill, it is highly possible that you have a leak. That leak may not always be visible. Before you contact WASCO, conduct a do-it-yourself test. 1. Record your meter reading. 2. Do not use water for 30 minutes to 1 hour. 3. Take another meter reading. If the reading changes, you have a leak. Contact a plumber to identify and fix the leak at the earliest. A message brought to you by the Water and Sewage Company Incorporated, WASCO.
Welcome back. The governments of St. Lucia and the Republic of China Taiwan joined hands to provide a commercial stainless steel kitchen facility to the students of the Bishop Charles Gachet RC Primary School. Riani Isidore tells us more.
The Bishop Charles Gachet RC Primary School in Marcia, Castries is in the midst of an evolution. In addition to adapting to smart classroom capabilities, the school has elevated its culinary provisions. Paramount Hospitality Equipment Distributors Limited has rehabilitated and revamped the kitchen at the Bishop Charles Gachet RC Primary School.
The idea of the kitchen came from Forrester. Forrester Combined has the same. And when I heard of it, I said we need to have that here too. And so I wrote to the Prime Minister, and he delivered.
The school's new commercial stainless steel kitchen will enhance its culinary operations to adequately respond to the nutritional needs of the student body at the Bishop Charles Gachet RC Primary School.
We are putting a modern kitchen in a school that would benefit, one, the nutritional situation in that school, in that they may be able to cook better meals, cook different meals, teach things, but they also will be able to make a statement that we are investing in the people of St. Lucia, and we're starting by investing in the young people of St. Lucia. And it's a significant statement.
The new kitchen was delivered within months after the initial proposal was submitted by Paramount Hospitality Equipment Distributors Limited to Prime Minister Honorable Philip J. Pierre. Prime Minister Pierre tapped His Excellency Peter Chai-yen Chen, Taiwan Ambassador to St. Lucia, to provide the financial support for the initiative. Ambassador Chen happily obliged.
We take great pride in having played a role in bringing Honorable Prime Minister Philip J. Pierre's vision to fruition. Since last year, we have been implementing the public health project in St. Lucia. One of its focuses is to promote nutrition through customized menus and recipes. This newly renovated culinary space is truly commendable, meeting the high standards of health and safety.
The commercial stainless steel kitchen at the Bishop Charles Gachet RC Primary School was officially unveiled on February 15th, 2024.
The OECS Program for Educational Advancement and Relevant Learning, PUL, is reportedly registering major successes with 19 primary schools benefiting in a new phase, the Continuous School and System Improvement CSSI Pilot Initiative. Natoya Popo Joseph reports.
19 primary schools under this phase of the OECS Pearl have received grant funding of $15,000 EC to tackle specific areas within their school environment, which can be improved to positively affect learning at the various institutions. The Continuous School and System Improvements (CSSI) pilot initiative will benefit at least 2 schools in each of the 8 educational districts on the island. The OECS Program for Educational Advancement and Relevant Learning, OECS Pearl, is a 5-year initiative executed across the Sub-Regional Alliance aimed at increasing equity, access, and the standard of education in all member states. Project Assistant for Saint Lucia's component of the OECS Pearl, Horace Popo, says the key word in this educational initiative is continuous.
It starts with a keyword, continuous or continual, which means that whatever that we learn now with this $15,000 grant, it is something that is going to be looked at, and it's something that's going to be copied going forward. So these are the things that we are working on right now, and we are trying to engage the principals, engage the district education officers, engage the parents, engage the wider community, so that they can see the benefits and they can be part of the completion of those projects.
To facilitate the successful execution of the program in the 19 schools, project officials have been meeting with focal points within the educational system. Mr. Popo says this serves to ensure the schools are receiving the proper guidance to implement their unique projects.
The Caribbean Digital Transformation Project has allocated $200,000 for smart classrooms in primary schools. More in this report from Glenn Simon.
The Caribbean Digital Transformation Project has dispensed approximately $200,000 for the rollout of 20 smart classrooms within selected primary schools around the island. Information Systems Manager with the Ministry of Education, Joshua Vernal, reinforced the many opportunities this technology will facilitate for both the teacher and student.
We are here to conduct some training, our smart schools, smart rooms training. The whole idea is that we're hoping that we can now infuse or continue to infusing technology in education to make the classroom setting a little more interactive, so we could better reach some of our students who might not really enjoy the traditional chalk and talk.
The Smart Classroom Project incorporates deliverables such as the purchase and installation of equipment, the supply of furniture, and now has commenced the train-the-trainer component with teachers from selected schools where the smart classrooms are installed. 20 teachers from the north of the island benefited from hands-on training at the Dame Paulette Louise Primary School, while another 20 teachers from the south of the island received similar training on the use of the smart classroom at the Bunce-la-Grasse Primary School in Labrie.
The St. Lucia Renewable Energy Sector Development Project, RESDP, Implementation Unit conducted a series of stakeholder and community consultations to discuss project goals, progress, environmental impacts, and mitigation measures.
The Project Implementation Unit, PIU, of the Renewable Energy Sector Development Project, RESDP of the Department of Infrastructure, Ports and Transport held a second round of community consultations in Saltibus, Fond Saint-Jacques, Belle Plaine and Castries from January 10th to February 7th, 2024. The consultations brought together project-affected parties, community members, local leaders and representatives from the World Bank and the Exploration Management Company to discuss the project's goals, receive a progress update, present next steps, and address public concerns. This round of consultations also included institutional stakeholder meetings in Castries and Soufrière, which brought together representatives from relevant government and private sector institutions, as well as members of the media. As done in previous consultations, the staff of the PIU shared information on topics such as environmental and financial implications of the project, legal and regulatory reform, impact on landowners and land usage, an update on project activities since the last round of consultations and the substantial mitigation measures being put in place to safeguard the community from any adverse effects from the exploratory drilling. Of significant interest was information on the project's capacity-building endeavours which includes a scholarship and apprenticeship program for young women and the potential employment opportunities for community members. Each consultation ended with an engaging Q&A session where community members voiced their concerns, asked thought-provoking questions, and sought clarification on various aspects of the project. Participants were able to receive feedback on questions about the safety of the exploratory drilling, the need for geothermal energy, and the concerns surrounding land use and potential environmental pollution. The RESDP sees these consultations as imperative to the success of this project. Community engagement and endorsement is important to us because we recognise that it is only through collaborative effort that we will achieve success, says Ken Aldonza, project manager at the PIU. We will continue to work with the communities to ensure that they feel heard and that any concerns are immediately addressed. This project is of national significance, so it is important that everyone feels a part of it. About the RESDP, the Saint Lucia Renewable Energy Sector Development Project, RESDP, is a 4-year, 2022.
When we come back, we look at communicable diseases and syndromic surveillance training and a school supervision retreat having been held. The semi-professional football league has been launched and the Central Library hosted LitFest.
One of the 8 universally recognized rights of the consumer is the right to redress. This means the right to a fair settlement of just claims. It includes the right to receive compensation for misrepresentation for the provision of truly or unsatisfactory goods or services.
Thanks for staying with us. Syndromic surveillance enables real-time health monitoring, crucial for detecting and responding to outbreaks like COVID-19. In Saint Lucia, training sessions on communicable diseases and surveillance emphasized the importance of a globalized perspective, interactive learning, and ongoing training to bolster health system preparedness against emerging threats. Sant Justin has more.
Data collection through syndromic surveillance provides a continuous stream of information which offers real-time insights into the health of a population, allowing health authorities to promptly detect and respond to outbreaks and new and emerging health threats. Health threat in a most recent case would be the COVID-19 epidemic, which caused immense pressure on health systems globally. In this case, syndromic surveillance aided in monitoring the effectiveness of public health interventions. On January 29th, the Ministry of Health, Wellness and Elderly Affairs began training sessions on communicable diseases and syndromic surveillance. The session was invigilated by CAFA's Technical Officer for Infectious Disease, Dr. Maurice Frank, and covered many areas, including the delivery of key messages to the public.
With the diseases, all of them on the tables right now, the health education. How are we reaching the population? What is the target population that we're aiming to get to? So sometimes we just put out a message, and whoever receives the message receives it. So health education, health promotion, they develop a message, they say, okay, here you go. And then I always have to say, are the person's health literate? So we say that we have a high literacy level does not mean someone is health literate. Of course, persons can read does not mean that they can understand the scientific jargon that we're putting out there.
The sessions were interactive and required the participants to create their own surveillance system. Dr. Frank touched on a number of thought-provoking aspects relating to national surveillance methods.
We are living in a globalized world. Whether we pay attention to it or not, it is so easy for a disease to just walk right into Saint Lucia from Martinique. There's a ferry between Martinique and Saint Lucia. So I just came from France, I went to Martinique, then I come here. So what is the role of port health? What is the role of isolation at the port? So we have to consider the health security aspect. What is happening on the grand scheme and the picture of Saint Lucia's health system? So when you're working through the scenarios, don't just think in terms of a clinical setting. Consider what is happening for the whole country and who is needed for an outbreak response, who is needed for surveillance.
From 2014, St. Lucia has had an established syndromic surveillance system set up at 36 reporting sites throughout the island. This allowed for the detection of the Zika outbreak in 2016 and any changes in disease patterns which may appear throughout the year. Whilst the COVID-19 pandemic allowed for increased capacity, it also highlighted the need for continuous training and retraining of healthcare personnel so as to improve the country's preparedness to respond to new and emerging diseases. For the Communication Unit of the Ministry of Health, Wellness and Elderly Affairs, I'm Sant Justin.
A supervision retreat focusing on collective aspirations for education supervision in St. Lucia and the wider region convened here. The retreat emphasized dialogue, collaboration, and shared vision for successful outcomes. Chris Satney reports.
The school supervision retreat focused mainly on the collective aspirations of those charged with the supervision of the education sector, fostered through dialogue, collaboration, and a shared vision in order to shape the future of education within St. Lucia and the wider region. Continuous leadership development is being seen as the best approach in ensuring the achievement of a more dynamic and forward-thinking education system that would redound to a better administration of schools. Held under the theme, Empowering Our Leaders, Transforming Our Education System, the retreat engaged education officers, heads, and support personnel in engaging sessions, thought-provoking discussions, and collaborative activities. Chief Education Officer Beverly Diodoni says the theme reflects a profound dedication to fostering leadership through innovation and positive change within the education sector.
Empowering our leaders is not just a slogan. It is a commitment to nurturing the potential within each of you. It is about recognizing the leadership that exists at every level of our education system and providing the support and the resources needed to catalyze positive change.
School supervision is considered as the backbone of the educational structure, working with principals and teachers to achieve excellence in education. Education Minister Honorable Sean Edward is on the record stating the important role that all who work in school administration play in creating an education system that helps grow the human resource base of the country and deal with the many social ills in the country, such as crime.
I firmly believe that real societal transformation can come forth or come about if we program properly in our education system. And the education that we put forward must be one that is relevant and one that reflects the reality of the realities of the time in which we now live.
Parliamentary Secretary Senator Honorable Pauline Antoine Prosper, who is a former principal and district education officer, says the mission of school supervision goes beyond the routine administrative tasks. She called on officers in attendance to continue to foster an environment of continuous improvement and to stay ahead of evolving needs of the sector.
Remember, our influence extends beyond the walls of the schools, beyond the district offices. We serve the public. Our collective efforts will help the principals, the teachers, the students, and the leaders that we lead to shape this nation, to shape our society.
The school supervision section of the ministry is headed by the Chief Education Officer and Deputy Chief Education Officer, who are responsible for education officers in each of the 8 school districts, who in turn are directly responsible for schools under their districts. The structure also includes education officers for special education, CAMDU, TVET, NELU, early childhood, and school feeding program, as well as heads of the school counseling and school safety sections. From the Communications Unit of the Department of Education, Innovation and Vocational Training, I am Chris Satney, reporting.
The SPFL, St. Lucia's new semi-professional football league, was launched. The SPFL is a collaboration between the government, the Ministry of Youth Development and Sports, and the St. Lucia Football Association. The league aims to leverage football for societal transformation. Ryan O'Brien tells us more.
St. Lucia's Semi-Professional Football League, SPFL, got its official launch Friday evening, giving the realization of a concept aimed at bringing the sport of football to a critical new level in St. Lucia. The Government of Saint Lucia, through the Ministry of Youth Development and Sports, in collaboration with the St. Lucia Football Association, came together to set up the SPFL. The theme of leveraging football to transform lives was the common thread that permeated deliveries from the various speakers during the launch. Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Youth Development and Sports, Mary Wilfred, welcomed the new entity and emphasized the significance of its launch.
This launch marks a significant development in the sporting community, specifically in the discipline of football. As a nation, we have dreamt of many possibilities that sports can bring to players, coaches, administrators, among others. This evening, we have awakened from one of the dreams and paused to mark a historic shift in sports, signaling the maturing of an independent nation. Ladies and gentlemen, permit me to salute all those who have debated, discussed, hypothesized, conceptualized, even those who have lost faith, and all present here to witness this evening's extraordinary proceedings.
Minister responsible for Youth Development and Sports, the Honorable Kenson Casimir, announced that the Government of Saint Lucia allocated initial capital of $1.3 million for the establishment of the league.
The Government of Saint Lucia remains committed to providing the necessary support to the sporting fraternity, especially the national governing bodies. One of our main policies in relation to the development of youth and sports is to increase participation and economic activity, particularly in disadvantaged communities. We believe that sports can make a significant contribution in our society for both the individual and indeed the communities. I'm thrilled to see the manifestation of this competition and witness firsthand the tremendous impact and progress it will make in all of our communities.
Prime Minister and Minister for Economic Development and the Youth Economy, Honorable Philip J. Pierre, disclosed that lots of cabinet hours went into discussing the formation of the league, which was a reflection of government's passion for the transformation of the lives of St. Lucians.
What we want is the holistic development of the people of St. Lucia. And the most important thing to me is the words transforming lives. Because, we need to change the lives of the people of this country through any means necessary. And these means must be positive, and sports and football is one of the ways in which we can do that. And this is why, in spite of what people say, in spite of the criticisms, most of it's unfounded, the government has and will continue to invest a substantial amount in the youth of St. Lucia. We created the youth economy, where for the first time, a government is directly investing millions of dollars in the economic empowerment of young people.
The Semi-Professional Football League is set to kick off on March 3, 2024, with the first game scheduled for the Mindu Phillip Park. From the Ministry of Youth Development and Sports, I'm Ryan O'Brien.
The Island Central Library hosted a literary festival, LitFest, commemorating Nobel laureates and showcasing budding entrepreneurs' products. Chris Satney reports.
Imagine that, an island gal on the run from the sun every Sunday.
The Central Library, through its literary festival, is attempting to marry this with a showcase of products from budding entrepreneurs called LitFest. The festival was held in commemoration of Nobel Laureate Week. Several areas of the arts were showcased at the event, which is a spin-off of the Central Library's lunchtime poetry sessions.
So we sing Bob Marley so proudly that after all these years you'd figure you still can't emancipate yourselves from mental slavery.
It's ridiculous how envious and jealous people could be of the progress of someone's success. If only they knew they could achieve this and greater things by applying patience and ambition.
Sally Roseman, who is the Director of Library Services, is again heartened by the response to the second staging of the event held in celebration of the arts and achievements of the island's 2 Nobel laureates.
St. Lucia's very own sons of the soil, who happen to share the same birthday but 15 years apart. And what a miraculous coincidence that they both received a Nobel Prize. As a public librarian, it would be remiss of me not to highlight their achievement and acknowledge the potential of our very own budding creatives in poetry, drama, and other forms of literary endeavor.
Ms. Roseman says showcasing the products of budding entrepreneurs as a side attraction at the event helps promote their items and gives the small businesses some much-needed exposure. Organizers see local entrepreneurs invited to the lunchtime activity as artists within their own right.
This activity concentrates on highlighting the talents that exist amongst us, the creative and performing arts in song and poetry recital. It is therefore my pleasure to welcome you to enjoy our presentations and to speak with our entrepreneurs and patronize them.
The literary festival known as LitFest was held under the theme for Nobel Laureate Week 2024, celebrating excellence, inspiring our collective imagination, fostering national pride. Sir William Arthur Lewis received the Nobel Memorial Prize for Economics in 1979, while Sir Derek Alton Walcott received the Nobel Prize for Literature in 1992. The Nobel Laureate Festival honors their accomplishments and triumphs. From the Communications Unit of the Department of Education, Innovation and Vocational Training, I am Chris Satney reporting.
As we conclude this edition of St. Lucia Magazine, a huge thank you to all who contributed to the production of this program, the National Television Network, GIS team, and the communication officers of the various ministries. Thank you for joining us on NTN Channel 122 and the social media pages of the Government of Saint Lucia. I am Nivalo Geist. Until next time, stay informed, stay engaged as we look forward to more positive developments in the coming months.
It's time for St. Lucia Magazine, your monthly wrap-up.